It ain't just about the wheels spinning. It's the soul of the road calling your name.
I'm Taz, and you're now riding with the Ruach. In times of peace, prepare for war, because peace doesn't last forever. If you're a sucker, get out the way.
This is Taz, that dude. Motorcycle culture has always been about freedom. But for black riders, the road to freedom came with challenges. You heard? This series explores the history, brotherhood, and evolution of black motorcycle clubs. From the earliest beginnings to the modern MC culture that we see today. Put some respect on their names. I'm Taz, and you're now riding with the Ruach. Go and get your popcorn, cause I'm about to take you on a ride this wild world. This documentary series is presented for educational and historical purposes. The information shared is based on publicly available sources and historical research. The views expressed are not intended to represent or criticize any specific motorcycle club, organization, or individual. The goal of this series is to explore motorcycle culture and history. Historically, Harley-Davidson brand image was closely tied to Buy American, subtext that often marginalized non-white riders, reflecting broader racial tensions. Dealerships previously would not sell to black customers. Black customers could not buy a Harley. The East Bay Dragons bought used bikes, some for around $30, and they built their own. While systemic exclusion existed, the company Harley-Davidson has worked in recent years to highlight black riders, such as through the Iron Elite exhibition and outreach to diversity and diversify its customers and its customer base. Yet racist dealer actions. In 2020, Harley-Davidson severed ties with a Tennessee dealership, Abernathy Cycles, after the owner made racist anti-Black Lives Matter posts emphasizing the company's stated intolerance for such behavior. Shifting image despite past association with white-only stereotypes, the Harley-Davidson company has actively sought to promote its history with black riders, launching African-American outreach initiatives in 2012. Is this because Harley-Davidson is genuine? Or is it because Harley-Davidson is in a financial bond? Leave your comments below. Ongoing challenge. The brand often faces pressure regarding its marketing and corporate values. In 2024, the company announced it would end certain diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI policies following pressure from activists. Recent actions show a push to foster a more inclusive image through historical reputation of the motorcycle culture. Brothers, sisters, the historical culture has been a point of contention with the Harley-Davidson. As motorcycle culture grew throughout the 20th century, it did not exist outside of the realities of the American society, or should I say, racist society. For many black riders in the mid-20th century, the road offered freedom, But access to that freedom was not always equal. During the 1950s, 60s, and even to the 1970s, some black riders reported difficulties purchasing motorcycles or joining certain clubs due to racial discriminations that existed throughout the American society at that time, inclusive of Harley-Davidson. Because of this, many riders chose to build their own clubs and communities. Organizations such as the East Bay Dragons, Chosen Few, Defiant Ones, and later clubs like Outcast MC, the first 1% all black motorcycle clubs. Shout out to Outcast, man. Shout out to them, man. Help create spaces where black riders could ride freely, build brotherhood, and establish their own identity within the motorcycle culture. These clubs were not simply about motorcycles. They represented independence, pride, and community. Let's talk about the Harley-Davidson culture. Yo, love Harley, right? Let's talk about Harley-Davidson culture and controversy. See, at the same time, the largest American motorcycle brand, Harley-Davidson, was navigating its own complicated relationships with American culture. Throughout its history, the brand has been strongly associated with American patriotism and traditional bikers' imagery. The imagery sometimes overlapped with symbols that became controversial. Couldn't buy a Harley, you. For example, during the 1970s, Harley-Davidson produced a Confederate edition motorcycle. That what I told you? During the 1970s, Harley-Davidson produced a Confederate edition motorcycles as part of its bicentennial theme series. In later decades, the company distanced itself from the Confederate symbolism and eventually prohibited its use in official branding. In more recent years, the company has also faced lawsuits and criticism related to workplace discrimination claims, including allegations of racist graffiti and harassment at a Kansas City manufacturing plant. Cases like these brought attention to broader questions about race, culture, and inclusion within parts of the motorcycle industry. Harley-Davidson has stated publicly it does not tolerate discrimination and has made efforts to highlight the diversity of motorcycle culture. Let's talk about black riders who helped shape this culture. Despite the challenges, and I've talked about some very, very important riders already. Despite the challenges some riders face, black motorcyclists have played an important role in shaping motorcycle history. One of the most famous pioneers that I've already mentioned was Bessie Stingfield, often called the motorcycle queen of Miami. Again, during the 1930s and 40s, she rode her Harley-Davidson across the United States multiple times at a time when both motorcycling and long-distance travel were far more difficult for black Americans. Today, Harley-Davidson Museum recognizes her as one of the pioneers of American motorcycling. Her story is one example of how black riders helped shape motorcycle culture despite obstacles. I told you about Wild Bill. I told you about Ben Hardy. Context within this black biker world is important. It's important to remember that motorcycle culture is incredibly diverse. Millions of riders across the world from every race, background, and belief share the same love of the open road. While history includes moments of conflicts, controversy, and exclusion, it also includes stories of riders building communities, breaking barriers, and expanding the culture. And many of the clubs that emerged during these 20th century helped create a more inclusive space for future generation of riders. Understanding this history helps explain why black motorcycle clubs became such an important part of the biker world. They were not just riding organizations. They were communities built around freedom, identity, and brotherhood, and their legacy continues to shape the motorcycle culture today. Black motorcycle clubs emerged in the 1950s and 60s primarily as a response to widespread discrimination, segregation, and exclusion from white-dominated riding associations like the American Motorcycle Associations. These clubs, such as the East Bay Dragons, founded in 1959, provided a space for camaraderie, independence, and safe, organized riding during a volatile social era. Exclusion and racism. Black riders were denied entry into mainstream clubs and were often refused service at dealerships. Brotherhood and community. Clubs were formed to foster pride, brotherhood, and a tight-knit community among black riders. Independence. They sought to establish their own independent institutions, creating their own rules and structures like Outcast MCs. Shout out to Outcast, man. And as they tell it, the 60s was a hell of a time with the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, the flower power, and free love, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Also the crazy world of the outlaw bikers. If this sounds as foreign to you, then keep paying attention. Don't fall for the culture stereotypes around bikers. See, the first white boy to come to the chosen few MCs was White Boy Art. He came around 1960, followed by White Boy Tom. Soon as they started to attract other white outlaw riders that wanted to join, the chosen few became a multi-racial MC with chapters that were all black, all white, half Mexican, half black, half white, all Mexican, and half Indian, a few Asians, and one Iranian dude. The East Bay Dragons was founded in 1959 in Oakland, California by founder and leader Toby Gene Livingston. The type of club for the East Bay Dragons was that it was an African-American outlaw motorcycle club that had rode on Harley-Davidsons as their masquerade. During the era of their early days, the East Bay Dragons were revolutionary for being African-American men riding on Harley choppers. It was the same historic days of Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Huey P. Newton, the Black Panthers, also exercising their equal rights as citizens of America. The East Bay Dragon Motorcycle Club's mission statement, established in 1959 in Oakland, California, states, quote, "The East Bay Dragons is a membership of equal within the common purpose of fellowship through the motorcycle riding, providing support for one another and taking all necessary steps to ensure the club continues to thrive as a strong and respected organization in the Oakland community." First organized and membership numbers and oldest, largest all-black, all Harley-Davidson, all males biker club in the United States, the East Bay Dragons, Toby Gene Livingston, Toby Gene Livingston was born in Tallulah, Louisiana, county seat of Madison Parish. He founded the East Bay Dragons Car Club in Oakland, California, which eventually became the East Bay Dragons MC, one of the nation's currently leading all-black Harley-only motorcycle clubs. East Bay Dragons are by no means a singular phenomenon. They are one of only a few African only motorcycle clubs to come out of the 50s post-war. And this is why we coined them the largest and first. They're also the only MC that coexists peacefully with the Oakland Hells Angels, even though the Hell Angels are fiercely territorial with other clubs that claim the same space with them. Their president for life, Toby Gene Livingston, professes a long-lasting friendship with Hells Angels patriot Sonny Barger, who has written a brief foreword for his friend's memoir. Toby and Sonny was together in a picture. The way Toby Gene Livingston remembers it in the 1950s were all about rock and roll cars, especially the cars, cruising, customizing, and painting took up a lot of free time. Livingston, the son of a sharecropper who had moved west with his family from Louisiana, cherished his Chevy enough to start a car club, inviting his brothers and friends into the fold. They called themselves the East Bay Dragons and even struck plates with their logo in the rear window. There was just one problem: the cars. As Livingston recalled in his 2004 autobiography Soul on Bikes, most families in the 1950s couldn't afford the luxury of having more than one vehicle. A member of a car club, tinkering and drag racing their home loan mode of transportation became less and less practical. So Livingston customized the club itself, turned it into an all-black, all Harley-Davidson riding crew in 1959. After all, used motorcycles could be had for as little as $40 and were often chopped or modified to fit the rider's preference. However, the Dragons weren't the first African American biker club. Many soldiers have returned from World War II needing an adrenaline rush, and bikes offered a relaxable fix. Of course, getting a hold of the vehicle wasn't always easy. Several dealers refused to sell to minorities. Still, enough men got their hands on motorcycles that by the time the Dragons really got started, several California groups had already shown their patches on the street. But the Dragons were disputed. Pardon me. The Dragons were departed from the rest. In contrast, straight-laced riders who rode full dressers or bikers with windshields and saddlebags. The Dragons mandated members ride beer bonded. American-made Harleys, this class action set them aside from all biker clubs. This itself grew this membership numbers sky high. They also didn't shy away from trouble, but it wasn't the police that worried Livingston as even members. It was African American driving cars got more attention from the cops than those on two wheels. It was the territorial issues with other motorcycle clubs that sparked the biggest aggravation. A white group dubbed the Black Crows speared word that they intended to steal the Dragons' bikes. One bloody brawl later, that talk got quieter. The dragons rode where they pleased. And if someone didn't like it, that was their problem. Quote, we might be peaceful one minute, ass kickers the next, Livingston wrote. A pack of black riders would freak the Livingston daylight out of the neighboring towns, communities, and police departments. That was okay. Would a member help you fix your car or kick your ass? Try your luck and find out. End of quote. The members wore black, grease-stained jeans and vests featuring their signature patch, a green dragon against a gold background. In an era significant racial discrimination, the club members faced challenge and purchasing new Harley-Davidson motorcycles and risked their lives to ride the East Bay. And yeah, once again, this is Taz. I'm really outside, giving you that right knowledge for real, man, of the motorcycle culture. Never forget where you came from, or you may not know where you're going. And if you don't have no sense of direction, you ain't going nowhere but down. And anything that's dead is on a horizontal level. You dig? What's your mind like, King? What to watch next? Episode 3, Inside Motorcycle Structure, Riding with the Ruach. Episode 3. Taz, smash that like button. Register, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm really outside, man. Tune in. You dig?